hello, welcome again. Thank you all for stopping by to check out this video. My name is Rola. For those of you that are new to my channel, I'm literally talking about my personal life story as a mom of 3 and a widow. I've been a widow for almost 5 years now. I'm just talking about my personal life journey, how things has been for me and how I've been coping and how faithful God has been in my life and the life of my children as well. In this video, I just really want to talk about the time when my emotions and everything, when I felt like I was losing my husband all over again. I remember, I believe it would have been just slightly over 2 years after I'd lost my husband. In the month of January, I believe it was, January or February, I got a call or got a text message from a friend, and just random, a friend. I'm not sure whether I messaged her or reached out to her, but somehow just reached out to this friend and we got chatting, and she kind of just let me know that that her husband was not feeling well and that she's been going through some things. So immediately that morning, I asked if I could come out and reach out. Went out to her that day to go and see her in a place because she stayed not too far from me after I did school runs, dropping my children at school then, so my youngest one at school then. And I went and I reached out to her and went over to her place. And when I got to her place, the way she kind of told me her husband was suffering from a condition, and when I saw her husband and the setting of the home, the way the husband was, a different type of emotion just came all over me. When I saw going there and seeing the husband, I knew what her husband used to look like and what the husband looked like on that day. So I just kind of offered to just do 1 or 2 things for her. There was doctors that was coming in and out of her home on that day. And it just kind of reminded me of when my husband was sick and the way we had different health visitors that will come in and check up and see how he's doing, nurses that will come in, doctors that will come in, all the different types of specialists that will come in. And I looked at the setting, the setup within her home on that day. So I visited her on that day, and I think I went back again maybe 2 weeks later, did some slight shopping for her, just asked what her husband felt like eating and the children, just bought 1 or 2 things for them on that day. And I think I remember going back again and looking at the setup of their home brought back so much memories for me. The way my home was set up when my husband was sick. We had a hospital bed in our home. We had the reclined wheelchairs and everything. And the same color of chair, the creamy beige color chair that I had in my home, the mobility type of chair that I had in my home for my husband. This friend of mine, her husband was sitting inside of it. And I couldn't, for the sake of me, I could not hold back my tears. I was just crying and crying and I was crying so much. It was like I was crying because I'd seen this old scene before in my head. I'd seen it all before. My husband looked exactly like what her husband looked like towards his final days before he was about to pass away. And I just kept on crying on that day. And I remember her husband looking at me and kind of just shaking his head and trying to say it's okay and stuff. But I just couldn't hold it back. I was so emotional on that day because I just thought to myself, oh no, it's going to happen all over again. Because this is a friend of mine that's also a mom of 4. She's a mom of 4 and was expecting the 5th one on the way. And seeing her husband in that condition, the way she was caring for her husband, I saw myself in her. I saw her husband the way my husband was, and he just made me so emotional. It was like I was looking at my husband again all over again in that chair, the way he was, and fragile, weak, couldn't do much for himself and stuff. Not long, I think maybe a couple of days or weeks later, this friend of mine lost her husband. The feelings, the emotions, and everything just came back for me all over again. I remember when I saw her husband in the last few days before he went, I said a prayer. I remember praying for this friend of mine. I was just praying, just like, God, please don't let him go. Don't let him die. That was a prayer that was praying so much, and I was sobbing and sobbing. She couldn't really understand the reason why I was sobbing, but I was seeing my husband all over again in that man. And the way he looked, the way he looked was exactly the way my husband looked in his last few days. Slim, I'd lost a lot of weight. In that chair, the same way my husband was on his chair. It was like I was looking at my husband all over again, seeing my friend's husband that way. And when her husband passed away, my friend's husband passed away, I was heartbroken. Like I said, it was like I was losing my husband all over again, just seeing like, wow, another widow again. And this time, when in my friend's case, was expecting a fifth child. It's different. But when she lost her husband and, her husband passed away, I tried what I can and, to support her. Until today, it's been almost 2 years now that this friend of mine lost her husband. I mean, we have been on the phone with one another, talking and sharing notes and talking about our emotions and our feelings and the same things, the same steps, the same emotions that I felt at the beginning when I lost my husband. She was going through every single stage, and thank God was able to talk her through it, or we talk through it and share notes and stuff. But those images, the feelings, I was revisiting the last few weeks and months of August 2020 all over again when I saw my friend's husband passing away in the month of March of 2022. For the strength, the courage, and for the strength to keep going and to be able to speak to this friend of mine and encourage her. But there was so much that we had to talk about and share with one another. But basically, my message is just that for those of you that might be widows or widowers out there, just know that you're not alone. You're not the first. I always say I'm not the first, and I'm not going to be the last widow out there. There's been many before me and many after me. But just know that you're not alone. And remember, you have to take care of yourself first, mentally, physically, emotionally, before you can take care of others, before you can pour into others. Make sure you look after yourself. Thank you all for staying tuned and watching this video to the end. For those of you that are new to my channel, please like, subscribe, share your comments, put your comments down below. Do you know of a loved ones that has lost a husband or wife? How are they feeling? How have you been able to reach out to them? Reach out and support them. What way have you been able to do that? Sometimes it might just be regular phone calls, because as a widows and a widowers, the loneliness kicks in. People are there for a couple of weeks, maybe 1 or 2 months. Then after a while, the world goes on and you are left alone as a mom, a dad, whatever, to look after your children by yourself, in your thoughts, in your emotions. in your feelings, doing it by yourself, navigating through life, navigating through situations, decision making, all of that. So if you know of any such person that's lost a loved one, a partner, please constantly reach out to them one way or the other, the way you know best out. So text, phone calls, whatever way you can, please reach out to them. Thank you all for stopping by to watch out this video. My name is Rola, and I hope to catch you in my next one. Take care. Bye-bye.